Hey everybody, Dustin DePirac here, Ryan Karchi, Zach Osterman. Anyway, we were trying to do this.
Scooby-Doo. He drove around in a van solving mysteries with his friends.
We will stop this from being chaotic right
that's
now.
Correct.
Anyway.
I remember you had a little pal, Scrappy.
Just stop, Zach, seriously. Anyway, we're going to try to do this. We usually screw up when we send him in the back and you can't really hear him. So we're kind of tightening this up a little bit and doing this sort of three-man situation. So hopefully it works. Anyway, yeah. Indiana played North Carolina Central tonight. Just shut up.
Even though by TV standards the game is still going on.
Yeah, so you can watch that
Indiana
as you're watching
Carolina
Scoop
Central.
They're actually playing right now.
The game ended at an unknown time with an unknown score.
Because I'm sure if you wanted to watch that one on, or you watched it on the Big Ten Network, I'm sure, or .com, you want to watch it again. I'm certain you do, because that was exciting. We had to cover it. They had to play it. That's pretty much what it was. Anyway.
And you accused me of, throwing this thing off the rails.
Shut up. Point being, Indiana wins 75-56, so they're at win number 21. Finished off a perfect non-conference season. First time they've done that since 1989-90. So Tom Crean said, that's a pretty big deal, which it is. That's, it's a long time.
I bet it's the lengthiest, and I don't have the number in front of me, but I bet it's the lengthiest conference season.
Non-conference season.
Well, yeah. Non-conference season they've ever gone undefeated. I doubt they played 13 non-conference games.
Yeah, I think they were 10-0 in that one. But basically, it serves its purpose. At least they say it serves its purpose. Made sure that they didn't have to have 2 byes in 3 weeks, play 3 games in 3 weeks. Just made sure there's some degree of rhythm. That they had a game. Basically, they were able to work on some things. And I thought, some good, some bad. Some were comfortable the entire way. We're pretty much cruising, but had a little bit of sloppiness, I guess, that you got to say is some concern going forward here.
Definitely, there was 15 turnovers. I mean, I think that's
16.
16?
Yeah, 16.
Oh, sorry.
North Carolina Central had 15.
16 turnovers for Indiana. I think that's the highest they've had in the latest I can remember.
Dustin shall check the notes.
It was a lot of turnovers, regardless, and
yeah,
I mean, you had a few guys who had sloppy games. Most namely, Christian Watford shot. He was 0 for 8. Couldn't get any kind of rhythm going at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes it looked like he just needed a shot to fall at all, and he couldn't get it. He couldn't even get a dunk to fall. He ended up having to shoot free throws, but he did some stuff defensively, especially in the second half.
3 steals. Yeah.
On Dominique Sutton, he looked pretty good. I think Sutton only scored 7 points as opposed to 14.
Yeah, he scored 7 in the second half.
Yeah.
So you could tell that defense really amped it up, and that's kind of what Coach Crean said afterwards. That even though Christian wasn't hitting shots, he was doing other things, which I think we can agree with.
Yeah, I think on that note, I mean, he had been talking about that. When I wrote a feature on him last, I think ran last week or ran Sunday, I guess. And he was saying that he was starting to get more energy from his defense. That he was starting to be in situations where he's not shooting well, able to make it kind of focus on his defense and his rebounding. But to me, it looked like he was more bothered by the bad shooting than even usually. Like, it just seemed like as much as he was turning it up defensively and getting some steals, he obviously was able to do that on just kind of athleticism and anticipation against this team. And he did take at least one shot that was just kind of forced, from the left wing. It's like, look, I always hit this. This has to go in, even though I'm a little bit rushed and it's a little bit contested. This has to go in, doesn't it? He wasn't even close, and it seemed like it was building on him more than, I wouldn't say usual. It was definitely building on him. It seemed like the confidence issue was starting to get to be a problem.
Definitely. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, at the same time, Tom said in the way that coaches will after the game, that the highlight of his night was Christian on a fast break handing the ball off to Derek Elston for a dunk because Elston had the easier shot. I don't know if I get so nostalgic or whatever about a moment like that, but I think it does. We joke about I just saw Christian Watford set a screen, or Derek Elston, he pulled in a rebound, or I don't know. I'm just all the little digs that I guess we've made at different times of the season. I know I have. I tweeted something earlier in the season. I said I just saw Christian Watford set a screen, but it does. I feel like even through not scoring and some of the inconsistency he's had in the Big Ten season, Watford, as much as anyone, is a player that we've kind of seen this season come of age in terms of understanding how to play the whole game, how to play defense, how to see everything, how to basically become a college player. It took longer for a lot of these guys because they didn't have someone in front of them to show them how to do that. I think that a lot of these players, and I think that this is one reason for the 21-win season, is that Christian Watford doesn't just zero his eyes in onto the rim in a fast break situation like that. He knows what's around him, and he realizes what the smartest play is, not the easiest play or the preferred play personally. I think that's that moment to me at the same time. As much as he's struggled, he's had a couple of those moments in the last few games where I thought to myself, like, Christian Watford, he's not scoring, and that needs to come back, but he's doing all these other little things that he wasn't doing a year ago.
No, I think you have seen that. I mean, I think there was definitely examples of that against both Purdue and Illinois, especially Purdue. And I think he was 0 for 7 in that game. I can't remember how many points he had. Not many. Thank you. But that he was really good defensively in that game. It was really important and really rebounded well. But I didn't see the same sort of. He seemed like he was able to shake it off in that game. I think in part because really everybody was missing shots in that game, especially the first half when it seemed like there was a lid on it. But this game, it just seemed like it bothered him more, and you just have to wonder if that's a situation where it's going to get in his head.
Well, he missed a lot of short ones. I think those were the ones that bothered him. He had a dunk that looked like it was going down, and then it came back out. He got blocked once. He blew a layup once. I think he shorted a little bit of a jump hook thing. I think those were the ones that were really bothering him the most. Were the ones that when it just starts to feel like, seriously, I can't even make a layup. I can't get a dunk to go down. Like, this isn't.
Yeah, that's precisely what I thought. But on the positive end, in terms of guys who have also been struggling but got better, I thought Will Sheehy kind of stood out tonight. You saw a little bit of the old Will Sheehy. Obviously, again, it's against North Carolina Central, but you saw him, hit a couple shots. It looked like he had more bounce to him than he has in the last couple of games. How important can that be, I guess, if you get Will back playing the way he's supposed to?
It was really important, I thought it was a good choice to put him in the starting lineup, just to kind of change things up, get him going early, and especially, I mean, right off the bat, we saw him get 2 offensive rebounds, and that was something that Green had talked about, that he's capable of being one of the better offensive rebounders on the team, and he wasn't doing that, and we saw him kind of do that right off the bat. He ended up with a team lead 7 rebounds. He scored 12 points to go along with that, and really all around he looked like one of the Hoosiers' best players for the first time in a while. I mean, well, there were times at times early in the season where we look at Will Sheehy and we wonder why he's not in the starting lineup, because he was one of the top 3 players on the team, and that just hasn't been the case lately. And he said a lot of that has to do with his ankle. He said he still can't jump off of 1 foot. But at the same time, he's kind of getting used to that, and it seems like he's getting closer to 100%. And it's definitely a step forward tonight, at least.
Yeah, this is the most bounce I think we've seen from him in a while. Just him feeling comfortable in the game. I didn't even realize until I really looked it up. I mean, this was only the 3rd time he scored in double figures since he came back. And that's more than a month now. I mean, like that. His return game was January 12th against Minnesota. He came right back, and I think he scored 12 points in that game. And it was just like, okay, well, Will's fine. And then you just saw him just be kind of average for a while. Had a couple, particularly bad games. The Michigan game stands out as one that was probably his worst. But this one, you started to see a little bit of the old Will, and that's obviously something they're going to need, especially if Christian continues to struggle, with getting shots to fall. I mean, they need to have 2 or 3 of those guys making shots and scoring points. You got to be able to rely on, 2 or 3 guys after Cody Zeller to get double figures, high double figures, if this offense is going to continue to be anything near close to what it was being this year.
And when Jordan Hulse is only taking 3 shots, you need someone, especially like Sheehy. He took 9 shots. I mean, someone had to take those shots and had to get in rhythm, and tonight it was Sheehy.
Yeah.
So,
end game. Was this game worth it? Was it purposeful? Was it useful to play today as opposed to taking a second bye? Zach
had his hand raised.
I think so. And another shameless plug for my column, as I always do on here, but
24/7 Sports inside Indiana.com.
Get it while it's hot. I think it just provided a mental pause at a good time, because they go to Minnesota and then they have 2 really big kind of atmosphere games at the end of the year. There's going to be a lot of energy in this building for Michigan State and for Purdue, and then they dive right into the Big Ten tournament. This is a group that's never played a meaningful game in a tournament setting. I mean, a meaningful game in March, really. I'm not trying to disparage beating Northwestern a couple years ago or anything like that, but I mean, the games are going to have a lot more weight now. I think it was just, I know that everybody talks about taking it one game at a time and stuff, but you could tell tonight, I don't think either of these teams was really invested in this game. I think they were both kind of looking at this as, hey, this is just a nice little detour, and then we'll kind of refocus our energies back to our respective conference seasons. Yeah, but I mean, I think for this team, it was
North Carolina Central was happy to finally get its $90,000.
Yeah, and really, I think even like I said, I said this during the game. I don't even think they were really that invested in winning the game. I think they would have been in December.
No, I mean they're in the league race.
Yeah,
they're in the league race.
They're in a race in the MEAC, and they really don't want to come here and blow themselves apart and maybe lose one or two conference games.
Yeah.
So I think this was just like I said, I think it was just a nice sort of mental pause. And now Indiana can kind of refocus itself for what all of a sudden could be a very meaningful stretch run, not just for this season, but for next season.
Exactly. All right, that's all the time we have because it's going to blow up on me. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Thanks.